That coin says you're a SEAL, but SEALs don't hide behind warehouse desks, sweetheart. Derek Haynes holds the challenge coin up to the yellow light of the bunker, a military bar 300 yards from the east gate of Camp Lejeune. His voice carries across 40 heads, active duty Marines nursing weekend beers, contractors swapping deployment stories, veterans wearing faded unit patches on worn leather jackets. Every conversation stops. Every eye turns toward the corner booth where a woman sits alone, tablet open, water glass untouched. Kara Vance doesn't look up. Her fingers rest flat on the logistics report glowing on her screen, but her breathing shifts. 4 counts in, 4 hold, 4 out. The pattern is invisible to everyone except the gray-haired man in the corner booth, Sam Brennan, whose knuckles whiten around his whiskey glass. Derek leans closer, blocking the light. I asked you a question. Kara closes the tablet with a soft click. She still doesn't meet his eyes. Instead, she reaches for her purse, the same canvas shoulder bag Derek knocked off the table 30 seconds ago, the one that spilled her ID badge, a chapstick, and the coin now dangling from his thick fingers. The coin is small, bronze, edges worn smooth from years of handling. One side shows a trident wrapped in anchor chain. The other is blank except for a serial number etched so faintly it looks like a manufacturing defect. Derek flips it twice, catching it each time with a practiced snap that makes the metal sing. My buddy Troy here. Derek jerks his thumb at the man behind him. 6'4", neck tattoo of an eagle, forearms like steel cables. He's got 3 of these, real ones, earned during Hell Week, but this? He holds it up again, rotating it so the entire bar can see. This looks like something you bought online for $19.99. Scattered laughter ripples through the crowd. Not loud, not cruel yet, just enough to test whether anyone will push back. No one does. Kara's face remains still, carved from marble. She exhales through her nose, stands slowly, and holds out her hand. May I have it back, please? Her voice is quiet, level, emptied of everything except the request itself. Derek's grin widens. He tosses the coin once, catches it, then drops it on the floor. It rolls across the scarred wood planks, spiraling in tighter circles until it clatters to rest beneath the next table. 3 Marines in desert camo glance down but don't pick it up. You want it? Derek spreads his arms. Go get it. Kara's jaw tightens. For half a heartbeat, her right hand flexes, fingers curling inward, thumb tucking against her palm, the exact grip used to stabilize a pistol under recoil. Sam Brennan sees it. His eyes narrow. He shifts forward in his seat, one boot scraping the floor, but Kara only kneels. She moves with precision, no wasted motion, bending at the knees instead of the waist, keeping her spine straight as though balancing weight on her shoulders. She picks up the coin, wipes it once on her jeans, and stands. When she turns back toward her booth, Derek steps into her path. Not so fast. His voice drops lower, intimate and dangerous. You disrespect every SEAL who earned that coin by carrying it around like a lucky charm. So, here's what you're going to do. You're going to apologize, loudly, to everyone here. Kara stops. Her gaze lifts, not to Derek's face, but to the chain of command poster on the wall behind him, the faded print listing ranks from private to general, the protocol for disputes and grievances. Her eyes linger there for 2 seconds, long enough for Sam to catch the calculation happening behind them. Then she steps around Derek, not aggressively, just a smooth pivot that puts 3 feet of space between them. She reaches for her jacket on the back of the booth. Troy moves faster. He's younger, eager to prove something, and his hand clamps down on her shoulder before she can shrug into the sleeves. You're not leaving till this is handled. Kara goes completely still. Her breathing remains steady. 4 counts, 4, 4, but her shoulder rolls under Troy's grip, a subtle rotation that shifts his thumb off the pressure point near her collarbone. He doesn't notice. He's too busy looking at Derek for approval. Let me see your ID, Troy demands. I want to know who you work for. Kara pulls the jacket free, draped over one arm. She doesn't answer. Instead, she reaches into the purse, extracts her base access badge, and holds it up without a word. The laminated card shows her name, Kara Vance, and her job title in bland gray print, Logistics Coordinator, Warehouse 7. Derek squints at it, then laughs. Warehouse, of course. That's where they stick people who can't hack the real work. He looks around, voice rising to include the whole bar. How much you want to bet she's got a boyfriend deployed somewhere, told her all his war stories, and now she's walking around with his coin pretending she earned it. The laughter spreads this time. Not everyone joins, but enough do that the sound becomes a wave, cresting over Kara's silence. A woman near the jukebox, late 20s, Marine Corps emblem on her jacket, frowns and starts to stand, but her companion tugs her back down with a quick shake of his head. Marcus, Derek's third shadow, pulls out his phone. The screen lights up his face as he angles it toward Kara. "This is going on Stolen Valor Watch," he announces. 3,000 members. They'll love this. Kara's fingers tighten around the badge. Her knuckles go pale. Sam Brennan rises from his seat, moving slowly because his left leg drags from an old injury, but moving nonetheless. He crosses the 15 feet to the bar in silence, leans close to the bartender, a former corpsman named Eddie, and whispers 3 words. Eddie's eyebrows shoot up. He glances at Kara, then at the clock above the register, then back at Sam. He nods once and reaches for the phone beneath the counter. Meanwhile, Derek plucks the badge from Kara's hand before she can pull it back. "Warehouse 7. I know that place. That's where they store broken gear and paperwork no one cares about." He flips the badge over, checking the magnetic strip as if it might reveal a hidden code. "What do you do there anyway? Count boxes? Sweep floors?" "I coordinate supply logistics for 3 battalions. Kara's voice is still quiet, but now it carries an edge, not anger, just the firmness of someone stating a fact. "I ensure Marines have the equipment they need when they deploy." "Oh, so you're a hero now?" Derek hands the badge back with exaggerated care, like he's returning a child's toy. "Let me explain something. Real SEALs don't brag. They don't carry their coins into random bars. They definitely don't need to prove anything to people like you." Kara slides the badge into her pocket. She picks up the coin from the table where she had set it, closes her fist around it, and finally looks Derek in the eye. Her gaze is pale green, the color of sea glass, and utterly empty of fear. "I'm not trying to prove anything." "Then why do you have that coin?" "Because it's mine." The simplicity of the answer seems to enrage him more than any argument could. Derek steps closer, close enough that Kara has to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. His breath smells like bourbon and frustration. "You know what I think? I think you're a liar. I think you found this at a garage sale or stole it from someone's locker. And I think you're about to learn a very hard lesson about respecting the uniform." He reaches for the coin again. This time, Kara's hand moves before his fingers close. She shifts her weight onto her back foot, turning her torso just enough that his grab misses by an inch. The movement is so smooth it looks accidental, like she stumbled, but Sam sees the truth. He sees the way her hips rotate, the way her front leg stays planted for balance, the way her free hand drifts toward her side in case she needs to block a follow-up. Derek notices too, though he doesn't understand what he's seeing. He just knows she made him look clumsy. His face darkens. "You think this is a game?" "No." Kara's voice is softer now, almost sad. "I don't." Troy grabs her elbow. "Maybe we should call the MPs. Let them sort this out." "Good idea." Derek pulls out his phone, scrolling through contacts. "I've got Briggs on speed dial. He hates stolen valor cases." Kara doesn't resist. She doesn't argue. She stands there, elbows loose at her sides, breathing her 4-count rhythm while Marcus films her face in vertical video. The bar has gone almost silent now, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, like everyone is holding their breath and waiting for someone else to speak first. Sam reaches the door and steps outside. The cold October air bites at his cheeks as he dials a number he hasn't used in 2 years. It rings once, twice. On the 3rd ring, a voice answers, gravel rough, annoyed at being disturbed on a Friday night. "This better be good, Brennan." "Colonel Rourke," Sam says, watching through the window, as Derek paces in front of Kara like a prosecutor summing up for a jury. "You need to get to the bunker, now." "Why?" "Because Juliet 7 is about to get arrested for impersonating herself." There's a pause. Then, "Say that again." "She's here. She's got the coin. And some former SEAL who doesn't know better is about to call the MPs on her." The line goes dead. Sam pockets his phone and limps back inside just as Lieutenant Briggs arrives. If you've ever been underestimated, hit that like button, because Kara's silence is about to become the loudest weapon in this room. Briggs is 42, spit-polished boots, regulation haircut that probably requires a ruler to maintain. He's the kind of MP who follows procedure like gospel, which makes him good at his job, but terrible in situations that require nuance. He steps through the door with one hand resting on his belt, eyes scanning the room until they land on Derek. "Haynes, you called about stolen valor?" Derek nods, gesturing toward Kara. "This woman's carrying a Seal Challenge coin. She works in a warehouse. You do the math." Briggs turns to Kara. His expression is neutral, professional, but there's already a tilt to his stance that suggests he's inclined to believe Derek. "Ma'am, can I see the coin?" Kara opens her palm. The coin sits there, dull bronze against her pale skin. Briggs picks it up with 2 fingers, holding it up to the light the same way Derek did. He examines both sides, then pulls out a small flashlight and shines it on the serial number. "J7N-13, he reads aloud. "That mean anything to you, Haynes?" Derek hesitates. His brow furrows. "No, but it's obviously fake. Seals don't use numbers like that." "Actually," Troy cuts in, leaning over Briggs's shoulder, "some units do, but those units don't exist anymore." Briggs's eyes flick to Troy. "Explain." "Black Ops teams from the early 2000s. Most of them got dissolved after budget cuts or mission failures. Their coins aren't in any official database because they were never officially issued." Troy taps the coin. "If this is real, it's from a ghost unit." Kara says nothing. Her face remains blank, but a single bead of sweat traces down her temple despite the bar's cool air. Briggs notices. He turns back to her. "Ma'am, where did you get this coin?" "It was issued to me." "When?" 2021. "By whom?" Kara's jaw tightens. "I can't answer that. Can't or won't. Both." Briggs sighs. He's heard this before. People claiming classified clearances they don't have, hoping the word classified will make him back off. "Ma'am, I'm going to need more than that. If this coin is yours, you should be able to tell me which unit issued it, where you served, and who your commanding officer was." "I understand your position," Kara says slowly, "but I'm telling you, I can't answer those questions without violating operational security protocols." Derek snorts. "That's convenient." Briggs ignores him. "Ma'am, do you have any documentation, orders, discharge papers, anything that proves you served in a unit authorized to carry this coin?" "Not on me." "Then I'm afraid I have to detain you for questioning until we can verify your story." The words land like a gavel strike. Marcus's phone camera zooms in on Kara's face, waiting for a reaction. Anger, panic, tears. Instead, she nods once. "Understood." Briggs pulls handcuffs from his belt. The metal gleams under the bar lights, cold and final. "Hands behind your back, please." Kara complies without hesitation. She turns, clasps her hands at the small of her back, and stands perfectly still while Briggs secures the cuffs. The click of the lock echoes in the silence. Somewhere near the pool table, a Marine mutters, "This feels wrong." His buddy shushes him. Briggs guides Kara toward a bar stool, where she sits carefully, spine straight, feet flat on the floor. He turns to Derek. "I've called Provost Marshal Hayes. She's en route. ETA 10 minutes. We'll hold her here until Hayes can take over." Derek crosses his arms, satisfaction written across his face. "Good. People like this need to learn there are consequences." Kara's eyes drift toward the window. Outside, headlights sweep across the parking lot. Not the blue and red of a police cruiser, but the steady white glow of a civilian vehicle. An old pickup truck, dark green, pulls into a space near the door. The engine cuts off. The driver's door opens. Sam Brennan watches from his corner booth, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Inside the bar, Briggs is explaining the next steps to Derek when the door swings open. The man who enters isn't wearing a uniform, just faded jeans, a black jacket zipped halfway, and boots that have seen 1,000 miles of hard use. His hair is silver, buzz short on the sides, and his eyes are the pale blue of winter ice. He's 60, maybe older, but he moves like someone who could still run 5 miles before breakfast. Colonel James Rourke doesn't announce himself. He simply walks to the bar, scans the room until he spots Kara, and stops. His face doesn't change. No surprise, no anger, just a tightening around the eyes that suggests he's recalculating everything he thought he knew about tonight. Briggs notices him first. "Sir, this area is temporarily restricted due to an ongoing investigation." Rourke doesn't look at him. He's staring at Kara, who has finally lifted her gaze from the floor. Their eyes meet. Something unspoken passes between them. Not relief, not fear, but recognition. The kind that comes from shared experience, from nights spent in places where mistakes cost lives. "Lieutenant," Rourke says quietly, still looking at Kara, I need you to remove those handcuffs. Briggs stiffens. Sir, with respect, I don't know who you are, but this woman is under detention for suspected stolen valor. I know exactly who she is. Rourke finally turns to face Briggs. And if you don't uncuff her in the next 10 seconds, I'm going to make one phone call that will end your career before midnight. The bar goes dead silent. Even Marcus lowers his phone. Derek steps forward, voice tight. Colonel, I don't know what she told you, but that coin is fake or stolen. She's not Juliet 79er. Rourke's voice cuts through Derek's protest like a blade. Alpha class operator. Confirmed active as of my last brief 6 months ago. He pulls out his phone, dials a number, and puts it on speaker. It rings twice before a woman's voice answers. JSOC, night desk, authenticate, Rourke, Echo Tango 72, a pause, keys clicking. Authenticated, go ahead, Colonel. I need status confirmation on Juliet 79er. More keys, a longer pause. One moment, the silence stretches. Derek shifts his weight, doubt creeping into his expression for the first time. Marcus's phone is still recording, but his hand has started to shake. Colonel, the voice returns, formal and precise. Juliet 79er is confirmed as active advisory asset. Last status update logged 14 days ago. Clearance level remains active. Do you require further details? Negative, that's all I need. Copy, desk out. Rourke ends the call. He looks at Briggs. Uncuff her, now. Briggs hesitates for only a second, long enough to realize that arguing will accomplish nothing except digging his hole deeper. Then steps behind Kara and unlocks the cuffs. The metal falls away. Kara brings her hands forward, rubbing her wrists where the steel left faint red marks. Thank you, she says quietly. Rourke doesn't respond. He's moved on to the coin, which Briggs still holds. Let me see it. Briggs hands it over. Rourke turns it slowly, examining the worn edges, the faint serial number. Then he flips it to the blank side and tilts it under the light. Something catches his eye, a detail so small it's almost invisible, unless you know to look for it. He runs his thumb over the surface, feeling the texture. How many of these were issued? Briggs asks, trying to salvage some authority. 17. Rourke's voice is distant, as if he's speaking from memory rather than to anyone present. 12 are accounted for. 3 belong to operators who died in the field. 1 was lost during exfil from Kandahar. And this one, he holds it up, belonged to Lieutenant Kara Vance, the only surviving member of Operation Chimera who didn't transfer to conventional units after dissolution. Derek's face has gone pale. He takes a step back, shaking his head. That's impossible. Juliet 7 died in Kandahar. We got the report. She was declared killed in action to maintain operational cover. Rourke's gaze shifts to Derek, cold and assessing, which you would know if you'd ever been read into alpha-level operations, but you weren't, because you washed out before clearance review. The words hang in the air like smoke. Derek's mouth opens, closes. His hands curl into fists at his sides, but he doesn't swing. He just stands there, unraveling. Troy clears his throat. Sir, we didn't know. Obviously, Rourke hands the coin back to Kara. She takes it without a word, slipping it into her pocket. Marshal Hayes is still en route. When she arrives, I'll brief her personally. In the meantime, I suggest everyone in this bar deletes any footage they recorded and keeps their mouths shut about what they just heard. Marcus fumbles with his phone, fingers flying across the screen. Within seconds, the video is gone. Rourke turns to Kara. We need to talk. She nods. Yes, sir. Not here. He glances around the bar, taking in the staring faces, the whispered conversations starting to bubble up now that the immediate shock is fading. Outside. But before they can move toward the door, it swings open again. This time, it's a woman in uniform, Provost Marshal Hayes, 45, sharp-featured, with the kind of walk that suggests she's been pulling night shifts for 20 years and has no patience left for nonsense. She surveys the scene in 3 seconds flat. Kara standing next to Rourke, Briggs looking like he swallowed glass, Derek backed into a corner booth with his arms crossed. Someone want to explain why I got called out here on a Friday night? Rourke steps forward. Marshal Hayes, I'll handle the briefing. Hayes recognizes him immediately. Her posture shifts, not to attention, but to the alert readiness of someone who's just realized the situation is far more complicated than the dispatch call suggested. Colonel Rourke, what's going on? The woman your lieutenant detained is a classified asset. The coin in question is authentic. The individual who reported stolen valor, he tilts his head toward Derek, was operating on incomplete information. No charges should be filed. Hayes processes this without blinking. Does she have documentation? Not that she can show you. Then how do I verify? You don't. Rourke's tone is final. You trust my word, or you escalate to JSOC command and waste 3 hours of everyone's time while they tell you the same thing I just did. Hayes stares at him, then at Kara, then back at Rourke. This is highly irregular. Welcome to my world. A faint smile cracks Hayes' stern expression. All right, but I'm filing a report and someone higher up the chain is going to review this. Understood. Hayes turns to Briggs. Stand down, Lieutenant. Return to patrol. Briggs nods, relief flooding his face. He shoots one last glance at Kara, part apology, part curiosity, then heads for the door. Derek tries to follow, but Hayes holds up a hand. Not you, Haynes. Sit. Derek freezes. I didn't do anything wrong, I was just... You filed a false report and publicly accused a service member of stolen valor without evidence. Hayes' voice is ice. That's harassment at minimum. Depending on what else I find, it could be worse. So, you're going to sit right there while I decide whether to charge you. Derek sinks into the nearest chair. Troy and Marcus exchange looks, then quietly slip toward the exit. Hayes doesn't stop them, yet. Kara hasn't moved. She stands in the center of the bar, arms at her sides, breathing steady. Sam Brennan approaches slowly, his limp more pronounced now that the adrenaline is fading. He stops a few feet away and offers a small nod. Told you he'd come, Sam says. Kara's lips twitch, not quite a smile, but close. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank whoever trained you to keep your mouth shut under pressure. Sam glances at Rourke. Colonel, been a while. Brennan? Rourke shakes his hand. Still causing trouble? Only when it's worth it. Hayes pulls out a tablet, stylus poised. I need statements from everyone involved, starting with you, Haynes. But before Derek can speak, the bar's front window explodes with light. Headlights, multiple vehicles, pulling into the lot too fast. Hayes frowns. That's not one of ours. Rourke moves to the window. His expression hardens. Federal plates. Why would... Hayes stops. Understanding dawns. This is bigger than stolen valor, isn't it? Rourke doesn't answer. He's already pulling his phone out, typing a message to someone whose name doesn't appear on the screen. Kara shifts her weight, a subtle tell that she's preparing for something. Sam notices and moves closer to her, positioning himself between her and the door. The vehicles stop. Doors open. 4 people step out. 2 men, 2 women, all in plain clothes, all moving with the coordinated precision of a team that's worked together for years. The lead agent, a black woman in her late 30s, with close-cropped hair and a jawline that could cut steel, pushes through the bar's entrance. She scans the room, finds Kara, and her expression shifts from neutral to something almost sympathetic. Lieutenant Vance? Kara straightens. Agent Monroe? We need to talk, privately. Rourke steps between them. She's not going anywhere without counsel. Monroe tilts her head. Colonel, with respect, this isn't a military matter anymore. We've been tracking someone, and your operator's name just popped up in connection with an active investigation. What kind of investigation? The kind where I can't tell you unless you have clearance I know you don't. Monroe's gaze returns to Kara. But I can tell you this. If what we think is happening is actually happening, then Lieutenant Vance walking into this bar tonight wasn't coincidence. It was bait. Kara's face remains impassive, but her hands flex once. A quick, involuntary movement that gives away more than any words could. Sam sees it, Rourke sees it, and so does Derek, who's been sitting in the corner, absorbing every word with growing horror. Bait for what? Derek's voice cracks. Monroe doesn't look at him. That's classified. Like everything else, Derek mutters. Then louder, standing now. Wait, you said my name popped up. Why? I didn't... He stops. His face goes gray. Troy. Sit down, Haynes. Hayes' command is sharp, but Derek ignores her. He's staring at Kara now, pieces clicking together in his mind, ugly and undeniable. You knew, Derek says. You knew Troy was... He can't finish the sentence. The implications are too vast, too damning. Kara finally speaks, her voice low and measured. I didn't know for sure, but I suspected. And you used me. You let me make a fool of myself so you could... What? Flush him out? No. Kara's eyes meet his, and for the first time, there's something other than calm in them. Regret, maybe, or exhaustion. I let you make a fool of yourself because I hoped you'd realize on your own that you were wrong, that you'd back down before it got this far. But you didn't stop me. No, I didn't. Derek sinks back into the chair. He looks smaller now, diminished. A man realizing that the story he's been telling himself, the one where he's the hero exposing a fraud, has been flipped inside out. Monroe gestures to her team. 2 agents move toward the back of the bar, where the hallway leads to the restrooms and the rear exit. We need to sweep the building. If Troy Garrett was here earlier, he might have left surveillance equipment. Eddie, the bartender, raises his hand. Troy works here part-time. He's got access to the security room. Monroe's jaw tightens. Show me. Eddie leads 2 agents toward a door marked Employees Only. The rest of the bar watches in stunned silence. Kara remains where she is, a stone in the current, while chaos swirls around her. Rourke leans close, voice barely audible. How long have you known? 3 weeks, maybe 4. And you didn't report it? To whom? My cover's civilian. I don't exist in any system they'd check. If I'd flagged it through official channels, it would have taken months to verify, and by then, she stops. He would have been gone. So you waited. Let him think you were just another target. Yes, sir. Rourke exhales slowly, the sound of a man who's fought too many wars to be surprised by much, but who's still capable of being impressed. That's either brilliant or insane. Both, probably. Drop a comment. Should Kara break her silence now, or let them dig their own grave? Part 2 drops the truth bomb. From the back hallway, one of the agents shouts, "Got something!" Monroe moves fast, disappearing through the employees-only door. The bar holds its breath. 30 seconds pass. A minute. Then Monroe reappears, holding a small black device no bigger than a deck of cards. She sets it on the bar, and everyone leans in. Wireless transmitter, Monroe explains. Live feed. Someone's been watching this place remotely. She taps the screen of her phone, pulling up a log. Last active, she stops. Her eyes widen. 11 minutes ago. Hayes swears under her breath. He's still watching. Or he was. Monroe looks at Kara. Did you know he'd planted this? I suspected, but I couldn't check without tipping him off. So you walked in here, knowing you'd be recorded? Yes. And you let Haynes escalate the situation? Yes. Monroe's expression is unreadable. Then she does something unexpected. She almost smiles. That's cold. It's necessary. Maybe. Monroe pockets the transmitter. But now we've got a problem. If Troy was watching, he knows we're on to him, which means the tablet in her hand buzzes. She glances down, and her face goes hard. He's running. Ground team just lost him near the north perimeter fence. Rourke steps forward. Where does that fence lead? Warehouse district. Monroe looks at Kara. Your warehouse district. And there it is, the final piece snapping into place. Kara's assignment wasn't random. The job coordinating logistics for 3 battalions wasn't just cover. It was strategic positioning, putting her exactly where she needed to be to monitor supply routes, track equipment transfers, and identify anyone siphoning gear to sell on the black market. Anyone like Troy Garrett. Derek's voice cuts through the realization, raw and bitter. How long have you been playing this game? Kara turns to him. Since Kandahar. The name hits Derek like a fist. His eyes widen. You can't... That's... He stands, shaking his head. Juliet 7 died in Kandahar. I got the report. We all did. You got the report they wanted you to see. Kara's voice is steady, but there's weight behind it now, years of it, heavy and unyielding. I didn't die, Derek. I made a choice. 12 hostages or 1 operator. I chose the hostages. The blood drains from Derek's face. You're saying that was you? You were the one who... He can't finish. The words are too jagged, too sharp to speak aloud. Kara nods once. I gave the abort order. I prioritized the mission over the rescue, and then, when the unit dissolved, I volunteered to stay dark, to keep hunting the network that set us up. But why? Why didn't you just... Because they're still out there, Derek. The people who sold us out, who leaked our position, who got 3 of our team killed, they're still operating. And if I'd come back into the light, they'd know. They'd disappear. So I stayed hidden. I erased myself. And I've been tracking them ever since. Derek sinks back into his chair for the third time. This time, he doesn't get up. He just sits there, staring at the floor, a man trying to reconcile the woman in front of him with the ghost he's been mourning for 4 years. Monroe's phone buzzes again. She answers, listens, then curses. They lost him. He's in the wind. Kara's jaw tightens. He won't go far, not if he thinks there's still a chance to clean up. Clean up what? Evidence, files, contacts? Kara looks at Rourke. He's been using Warehouse 7 as a drop point. Not for gear, that's too obvious. For data. Manifests, shipping logs, personnel rosters, information that can be sold to the highest bidder. Monroe stares at her. And you've known this how long? Long enough to build a case, but not long enough to prove it in a way that holds up in court. Kara's voice is calm, but there's an edge to it now. Frustration, maybe, or exhaustion. That's why I needed tonight. I needed him to make a mistake. Something visible, something public. Something that would give you grounds to move without tipping off the rest of his network. And Haynes was your mistake, Monroe finishes. Kara doesn't deny it. She just looks at Derek, and there's something like pity in her eyes. I'm sorry you got caught up in this, but yes, you were the catalyst. Derek's laugh is hollow, bitter. So, I'm the idiot who started the fire that burned down the whole operation. No, Kara's voice softens. You're the idiot who proved the operation existed in the first place. The distinction doesn't seem to comfort him. Monroe is already moving, barking orders to her team. 2 agents head for the exit, radios crackling with coordinates and containment protocols. Hayes pulls out her own radio, coordinating with base security to lock down the perimeter. The bar empties in waves, patrons slipping out into the night, eager to distance themselves from whatever federal nightmare just landed in their Friday drinks. Only a handful remain. Kara, Rourke, Sam, Derek, Hayes, and Monroe. 6 people standing in the wreckage of a story that's only half told. Rourke breaks the silence. What do you need from me? Monroe considers. Access to Warehouse 7, full inventory sweep, and someone who knows how to read between the lines of a logistics report. Rourke looks at Kara. You up for this? Kara nods. Yes, sir. Then let's move. He heads for the door, then pauses and looks back at Derek. You coming, Haynes? Derek blinks. What? You heard me. You want to fix this? You want to prove you're not just another loudmouth with a grudge? Then get up and help us finish what you started. Derek hesitates. Then, slowly, he stands. His legs are unsteady, his hands still shaking, but he walks toward the door, toward Kara, toward whatever's waiting in the dark warehouses 3 miles away. Sam watches them go, then turns to Hayes. Think they'll make it? Hayes shrugs. Depends on whether Garrett's smart enough to run or dumb enough to fight. My money's on dumb. Mine too. Outside, the night is cold and sharp. The kind of October wind that cuts through jackets and raises goosebumps on bare arms. Kara pulls her coat tighter and climbs into the back of Monroe's SUV. Derek sits across from her, staring out the window, silent. Rourke takes the front seat. Monroe drives. The convoy pulls out of the parking lot in a tight line, headlights cutting through the darkness like searchlights. And behind them, forgotten on the bar, the challenge coin sits where Kara left it, bronze and worn, glinting faintly in the yellow light. A monument to everything unspoken. The convoy moves through base housing like a steel serpent, 3 vehicles running dark except for amber parking lights. Kara watches the street lamps slide past, each one a metronome counting down to something she's spent 4 years building toward. Derek sits across from her, knees bouncing, hands gripping his thighs hard enough to leave marks through his jeans. Monroe's voice crackles through the radio. Ground team reports Garrett's vehicle abandoned near Gate 7. No visual confirmation on foot pursuit. Rourke keys his mic. He's already inside the warehouse complex. How can you be sure? Because that's what I do. Rourke glances back at Kara. He's not running. He's erasing. Kara nods slowly. Server room. 2nd floor, northwest corner. If he's destroying evidence, that's where he'll start. Monroe makes a hard left onto Supply Route Bravo, the access road that feeds into the warehouse district. The buildings rise ahead like sleeping giants, massive concrete blocks with loading docks and razor wire fencing, lit only by scattered security floods that create more shadows than they eliminate. Warehouse 7 sits in the middle, distinguishable only by the faded number painted on its eastern wall. The SUV stops 50 yards out. Monroe kills the engine. Silence rushes in, broken only by the distant hum of a generator and the wind scraping across empty pallets. 4 agents emerge from the follows vehicles, moving with practiced efficiency, checking weapons, securing tactical vests, communicating in hand signals that need no translation. Hayes pulls up alongside in her patrol unit, window down. "I've got 2 MPs inbound. They'll secure the perimeter, but this is your op, Monroe." "Appreciated." Monroe turns to Kara. "You know the layout?" "Every inch." "Then you're on point, but—" Monroe's voice hardens. "You follow my lead. This isn't a solo mission anymore." Kara meets her gaze. "Understood." Derek clears his throat. "What about me?" Monroe studies him like she's deciding whether he's an asset or a liability. "You stay with Rourke. You do exactly what he tells you. You touch nothing, photograph nothing, and if shooting starts, you hit the ground and stay there. Clear?" "Crystal." "Good." Monroe checks her sidearm, chambers around, and steps out into the night. The team approaches Warehouse 7 in a diamond formation. Monroe at the lead, 2 agents flanking, 1 trailing. Kara walks beside Rourke, with Derek close behind, trying to match their stride. The front entrance is a roll-up door big enough to drive a truck through, secured with a chain and padlock that gleams too brightly under the floodlight. Monroe kneels beside it. Fresh lock, installed within the last hour. "He's sealing himself in," Rourke mutters. "Or sealing us out." Monroe pulls a bolt cutter from her agent's pack, positions the blades, and squeezes. The chain parts with a metallic snap that echoes across the empty lot. She gestures 2 agents forward. They grip the door's handle and heave upward. Metal shrieks against metal, a sound like a beast waking, and the door rises to reveal darkness thicker than the night outside. Flashlights lance into the black. Rows of industrial shelving stretch back into shadow, stacked with crates marked with serial numbers and unit designations. The air smells like dust and machine oil and old canvas. Somewhere deeper in, a fluorescent bulb flickers, casting seizure strobe patterns across the concrete floor. Monroe advances first, weapon raised, light mounted beneath the barrel. "Federal agents, Troy Garrett, if you're in here, show yourself now." No response. Just the hum of the generator and that stuttering light. Kara moves left, clearing the nearest aisle with muscle memory older than her cover identity. She's been walking these aisles 5 days a week for 18 months, logging inventory, signing transfer forms, playing the role of the invisible bureaucrat whose only job is to make sure the right gear gets to the right people. But she's also been watching, counting, noticing when manifests don't match shipments, when crates arrive heavier than they leave, when serial numbers skip in sequence, noticing Troy. They reach the stairwell at the back of the warehouse, a steel cage bolted to the wall, leading up to the second-floor offices. The door at the top is ajar, spilling yellow light down the steps. Monroe pauses, listening. Footsteps, heavy, hurried, moving back and forth like someone searching. Monroe signals 2 agents up. They take the stairs in near silence, boots kissing metal with whisper-soft precision. Kara follows, Rourke behind her, Derek bringing up the rear. The second floor is a corridor lined with filing cabinets and outdated computer terminals, the kind of space where paperwork goes to die. But at the end of the hall, through a glass-paneled door marked Server Access, blue light pulses like a heartbeat. Monroe reaches the door first. Inside, Troy Garrett crouches in front of an open server rack, USB drive in one hand, tablet in the other. His face is slick with sweat despite the room's frigid air conditioning. When the door opens, he doesn't run. He just freezes, deer in headlights, the tableau of a man who's run out of moves. "Step away from the equipment," Monroe orders. "Hands where I can see them." Troy drops the USB drive. It clatters on the tile. He raises his hands slowly, but his eyes dart toward the rack, toward whatever data he was trying to scrub. "I want a lawyer." "You'll get one, after we secure this room." Monroe gestures to an agent, who moves in with evidence gloves and starts photographing the scene. Another agent checks the server logs, scrolling through lines of code that mean nothing to most people, but everything to someone who knows what to look for. Kara steps into the doorway. Troy sees her, and something ugly twists in his expression. Recognition, resentment, fear. "You," he spits. "You set me up." "No," Kara's voice is flat. "You set yourself up. I just watched." "For how long?" "Long enough." Troy's laugh is sharp, jagged. "Derek was right. You're a ghost. You don't exist. No one's going to believe anything you say." "They don't have to believe me," Kara gestures to the server. The data will speak for itself. The agent at the terminal looks up. Got transaction logs here, equipment transfers, shipping manifests, encrypted communications with external IPs. This is... He stops, reading further. This is years of material. Goes back to at least 2021. Monroe's expression hardens. Garrett, you're under arrest for theft of government property, conspiracy to commit espionage, and about 15 other charges I'll add once we decrypt this mess. She nods to two agents, who move in with flex cuffs. Troy doesn't resist. He just sags, the fight draining out of him like air from a punctured tire. As they secure his wrists, he looks at Derek, who's standing in the hallway, pale and silent. Tell me you didn't know, man. Tell me you weren't part of this. Derek's voice is hoarse. I didn't know. But you suspected. No, Derek stops. The truth is more complicated, and they both know it. He didn't suspect because he didn't want to, because suspecting would mean admitting that his friend, his gym buddy, the guy who bought him beers and swapped war stories, was a traitor. Troy sees the realization hit. He almost smiles. Yeah, that's what I thought. The agents haul him to his feet and march him toward the stairs. Monroe follows, issuing instructions to her team. Secure the servers, image the drives, sweep for additional devices. The warehouse becomes a hive of federal activity. Agents in windbreakers moving through aisles with evidence tags and digital cameras. Kara remains in the server room, staring at the blinking lights. Rourke joins her, hands in his pockets. You all right? I will be. That's not an answer. Kara exhales slowly. I've been running this cover for 18 months. Living alone, working a job that makes me invisible, watching people like Troy exploit the system while I documented every transaction, every communication, every lie. And tonight, I had to let Derek humiliate me in front of 40 witnesses because it was the only way to force Troy into making a mistake. She turns to face Rourke. So, no, sir, I'm not all right, but the mission's complete, and that's what matters. Rourke studies her for a long moment. You sound like me 20 years ago. Is that a compliment? It's a warning. He glances toward the hallway, where Derek stands alone, staring at nothing. You chose the mission over everything else, over your reputation, your identity, your friendships, and you won. But winning doesn't mean you didn't lose something in the process. Kara doesn't respond. She just looks at Derek, at the man who spent an hour tearing her down because he believed, wrongly but genuinely, that he was defending something sacred. And now he knows the truth, and the truth has broken him in ways an enemy never could. She walks over. Derek doesn't look up. I'm sorry, Kara says. Derek's laugh is bitter. For what? For letting me make a fool of myself? For using me as bait? For... He stops, choking on the words. For saving those hostages instead of me? There it is. The wound beneath the wound. Kara chooses her words carefully. In Kandahar, I had two choices. Save 12 innocent people or save one operator. You know what the manual says. You know what the oath demands. Mission first, always. But I wasn't just an operator. I was your teammate, I know. And you left me anyway. I made the call I was trained to make. Kara's voice softens. But that doesn't mean it didn't cost me. I've carried that decision every day since. I've asked myself if there was another way, if I could have split the team, if I could have... She stops. But the answer is always the same. 12 lives outweigh one, even when that one is someone I served with. Derek finally looks at her. His eyes are red-rimmed, raw. They told us you died. They said the whole team got hit during exfil, that you were gone. I was, just not in the way they meant. Kara leans against the wall. After Kandahar, the unit dissolved. Too much exposure, too many questions. Command offered me a choice. Transfer to a conventional unit and live under my own name, or stay dead and keep hunting the network that sold us out. I chose the mission. Why? Because they killed 3 of our people. Because they leaked our position to the enemy. Because they're still out there, profiting off betrayal. Kara's jaw tightens. And because if I didn't stop them, who would? Derek is quiet for a long time. Then, I spent 4 years hating you. I know. I blamed you for everything. For the injury, for washing out, for losing my career. I know that too. And now I find out you've been living in hiding, hunting ghosts, giving up everything so people like me can sleep at night. Derek scrubs his face with both hands. I don't know how to process that. You don't have to, not tonight. Kara straightens. But if you want to make this right, there's something you can do. Derek looks up, wary but listening. Testify. When this goes to trial, they're going to need witnesses who can speak to Troy's behavior, his access, his relationships. You knew him better than almost anyone. Your testimony could be the difference between a conviction and a plea deal. Derek hesitates, then nods. Okay, yeah, I'll do it. Thank you. They stand in awkward silence. Two people who used to trust each other with their lives. Now, strangers connected only by shared trauma, and a mission that ended years ago. Monroe appears at the top of the stairs, breaking the moment. We're wrapping up here. Garrett's en route to holding. We'll need statements from everyone. Vance, Haynes, Rourke, Brennan, anyone who witnessed the confrontation at the bar. She looks at Kara. And you and I need to have a very long conversation about operational protocols and why you didn't bring us in sooner. Yes, ma'am. Monroe's expression softens slightly, but that can wait until morning. Right now, you look like you could use about 12 hours of sleep and a hot meal. Kara almost smiles. I could use a shower first. Fair. Monroe heads back downstairs, leaving Kara and Derek alone again. Derek shifts his weight. For what it's worth, I am sorry. About tonight. About everything. I know. Does that make us even? Kara considers. No. But it's a start. Smash that subscribe button if you want justice served cold, because what comes next will redefine everything you thought you knew about loyalty. The convoy returns to base in the pale gray light of pre-dawn. The bar is dark now, Eddie long since gone home, chairs stacked on tables, the floor swept clean of broken glass and spilled beer. But the coin remains, forgotten on the bar top, a small bronze circle catching the first rays of sunlight through the window. Sam Brennan retrieves it at 0600 when he limps back to the bunker for his jacket. He pockets the coin, then pulls out his phone and dials a number he hasn't used in 3 years. It rings 4 times before a woman answers, voice thick with sleep. Sam, do you know what time it is? Sorry, Margaret, but I thought you'd want to know. Your daughter's okay. A long pause. She called you? Didn't have to. I saw her tonight. She's still out there, still doing the work. And she's still the toughest person I've ever met. Margaret Vance is quiet for a moment. Then, did she ask about me? No. But she looked at this coin like it was the only thing keeping her tethered to the world. I think that tells you everything you need to know. Tell her. Margaret stops. No, don't tell her anything. She made her choice. I have to respect that. Even if it means never seeing her again. Even then. Sam hangs up, pockets the phone, and walks out into the morning. The base is waking, PT formations running in cadence, mess hall lights flickering on, the distant roar of a jet taking off from the airfield. Life continues, indifferent to the small dramas played out in its margins. At the Provost Marshal's office, Hayes sits across from Derek, taking his statement for the 3rd time. He's calmer now, the shock worn down to a dull ache, but his hands still shake when he signs the affidavit. What happens to Troy? Federal charges. Espionage carries a minimum of 10 years, maximum of life. With the evidence we've got, he'll be lucky to see daylight before he's 60. Hayes sets down her pen. And you? Me? You filed a false stolen valor report. Technically, I could charge you with harassment, filing a false statement, maybe even assault for the physical contact. But, Hayes leans back. Given the circumstances, and given that you're cooperating fully, I'm inclined to let the charges drop, provided you complete 40 hours of community service and attend a sensitivity training seminar. Derek almost laughs. Sensitivity training. Consider it a gift. Most people in your position would be facing a court-martial. I'm not active duty anymore. No, but you're still subject to UCMJ if you're on base. So take the deal, Haynes, and count yourself lucky. Derek signs the agreement without reading it. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Do you think she'll ever forgive me? Hayes considers. I think Lieutenant Vance has bigger things to worry about than holding grudges. But if you want forgiveness, you will have to earn it. Words won't cut it. You need to show her, and yourself, that you're more than the man who humiliated her in a bar. Derek nods slowly. I'll try. That's all anyone can do. 2 weeks later, a formal ceremony is held in the base theater. It's a small affair, closed to the public, attended only by senior officers and a handful of personnel with the requisite clearances. Provost Marshal Hayes stands at the podium, reading from a prepared statement. It has come to the attention of this command that an error was made in the handling of an incident on October 18th. Lieutenant Cara Vance, formerly of Naval Special Warfare, was wrongfully detained and accused of conduct unbecoming. An internal review has determined that all accusations were unfounded. Lieutenant Vance's service record remains exemplary, and her contributions to ongoing operations continue to be invaluable. This command formally apologizes for the error and reaffirms its commitment to protecting the integrity of all service members. Kara sits in the front row, dress uniform pressed, ribbons aligned, face unreadable. Rourke sits beside her, Sam Brennan one row back. Derek is not present. His invitation was declined, politely but firmly. After the ceremony, Hayes approaches Kara in the hallway. "I know that doesn't undo what happened." "No, ma'am, but it's a start." Hayes hands her an envelope. "This is from JSOC. They're offering you a position, permanent advisory role, full clearance restoration, and a pay grade bump. You'd still be working logistics, but with oversight authority on sensitive shipments across 3 theaters. Kara opens the envelope, scans the letter. "This would mean going public, ending the cover, partially. You'd have a visible role, but your operational history would remain classified." "And if I decline?" Hayes hesitates. "Then you go back to Warehouse 7. Same job, same cover, same invisibility. But the network you've been tracking, most of it's dismantled now." Troy flipped. "He's giving us names, locations, transactions. The investigation you started is closing without you." Kara stares at the letter. 4 years of her life, condensed into 3 paragraphs and a signature line. She thinks about the coin, still in Sam's pocket. She thinks about her mother, who hasn't spoken to her since the day she went dark. She thinks about Derek, broken and bitter, trying to rebuild a life from the pieces of a story he misunderstood. "I need time to think." "You've got 72 hours. After that, the offer expires." Hayes walks away, leaving Kara alone in the hallway. Rourke emerges from a side office, reading glasses perched on his nose, looking every bit the retired professor instead of the warrior he was. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet." "That's not like you." "No, it's not." Kara folds the letter and tucks it into her jacket. "For 4 years, I've known exactly what I needed to do. Stay hidden, track the network, build the case. But now that it's done, I don't know who I am without the mission." Rourke removes his glasses, polishing them on his shirt. "You're the woman who saved 12 hostages in Kandahar. You're the operator who spent 18 months in deep cover to bring down a smuggling ring. You're the person who stood in a bar and let herself be humiliated because it was the only way to protect the mission." He looks at her. "You're Cara Vance, and that's enough." "Is it?" "It has to be." They walk together toward the parking lot, where Rourke's truck waits in the pale afternoon sun. Before he climbs in, he pulls something from his pocket, a small black box worn at the edges. "I was going to give this to you at the ceremony, but it felt too public." Kara opens the box. Inside is a new challenge coin, identical to the one Sam has, but this one is pristine, edges sharp, serial number crisp. Juliet 79er. "There were 17, Rourke says. 12 are accounted for. 3 belong to the dead. 1 belongs to you. And this," he taps the coin, "was the one we held in reserve, for emergencies, for moments when someone needed proof that they were still part of the team, even after the team stopped existing." Kara lifts the coin, turning it in the light. "Why give it to me now?" "Because you've earned the right to choose. You can stay Juliet 7, the ghost who hunts in the dark, or you can be Cara Vance, the officer who steps into the light and builds something new. Either way, you'll have this to remind you where you came from." Kara closes the box. "Thank you, sir." "Don't thank me. Just make the choice that lets you sleep at night." Rourke drives away, leaving Kara standing alone in the lot. She pulls out her phone, scrolls through contacts until she finds a number she hasn't dialed in 4 years. Her thumb hovers over the call button, then she puts the phone away. Not yet, not today. Instead, she walks back to Warehouse 7. The afternoon shift is just ending, workers streaming out toward the parking lot, lunchboxes under arms, voices raised in casual conversation. Kara slips inside through the side entrance, bypassing the main floor, climbing the stairs to her office. It's a small space, barely big enough for a desk and a filing cabinet, but it's hers. The window overlooks the loading docks, where trucks idle and forklifts beep in reverse. She sits at the desk and opens the bottom drawer, Inside is a folder marked Personal. She hasn't looked at it in months. She opens it now. Photographs, letters. A newspaper clipping from 2021, headline blaring, Hostage Rescue Operation Succeeds in Kandahar. The article doesn't name her, operational security, but she knows. She was there. She gave the order. She saved 12 lives and lost 3 teammates. She saved Derek, too, in a roundabout way. He survived because she chose the hostages, because the rescue mission pulled resources away from his position, because the enemy focused their attention elsewhere. He survived, even if he never knew why. And now he does. And the knowledge has shattered him. Kara closes the folder and slides it back into the drawer. She pulls out the envelope from JSOC, reads the offer one more time. Permanent position, full clearance, a return to the world of the living. She thinks about her mother, who stopped answering calls when Kara chose the mission over family dinners and birthday visits. She thinks about Sam, who kept her secret for 2 years without asking for anything in return. She thinks about Rourke, who gave her a coin and a choice. And she thinks about Derek, who spent 4 years hating a ghost. The decision forms slowly, not in words, but in the quiet certainty that settles in her chest like a stone dropping into still water. She picks up a pen and signs the acceptance letter. Then she seals it in the return envelope and sets it on the desk. Tomorrow, she'll mail it. Tomorrow, she'll step into the light. But tonight, she sits in the dark office and watches the sun set over the warehouse district, painting the concrete walls gold and orange and red. She breathes 4 counts in, 4 hold, 4 out. And for the first time in 4 years, she allows herself to feel the weight of everything she's carried. It doesn't crush her. It just makes her tired. 3 days later, Kara returns to the bunker for the first time since the incident. It's a Tuesday night, quiet, only a dozen patrons scattered across the tables. Eddie sees her come in and freezes, dish rag in hand, eyes wide. Kara walks to the bar and sits on the same stool where she was handcuffed. Water, please, and whatever Sam's drinking. Eddie pours 2 glasses without a word. Sam appears from the back room, limping slower than usual, but his grin is genuine. Heard you accepted the job. Word travels fast. It always does. Sam raises his glass. 2 new beginnings. Kara clinks her glass against his. And old debts. They drink in comfortable silence. The jukebox plays something low and mournful, a country ballad about loss and redemption. A Marine in the corner shoots pool alone, the crack of the cue ball echoing in the quiet. The door opens. Derek walks in. He sees Kara immediately, and for a moment, he considers turning around and leaving. But then Sam waves him over, and he has no choice but to approach. He stops 3 feet away, hands in his pockets, shoulders hunched. I didn't know you'd be here, Derek says. I didn't know you'd come back, Kara replies. Eddie called, said you were here. I thought... He stops. I thought maybe I owed you a drink. Kara gestures to the stool beside her. Sit. Derek does, awkwardly, like he's forgotten how chairs work. Eddie pours him a beer without asking. For a minute, no one speaks. Then Derek clears his throat. I started the community service, 40 hours at the Veterans Center, helping guys transition out, filling out benefits paperwork, that kind of thing. That's good. Yeah, he pauses. It's harder than I thought. Listening to their stories, realizing how many of them are struggling with the same things I am. Guilt? Among other things. Derek takes a long drink. I talked to a counselor. She said I need to stop blaming you for choices I made. That Kandahar wasn't your fault, and neither was anything that came after. She's right. I know. But knowing it and feeling it are 2 different things. Kara nods. They are. They sit in silence again, but this time it's less awkward. More like 2 people learning how to occupy the same space without old wounds bleeding between them. Sam finishes his drink and stands. I'm heading out. You 2 play nice. After he leaves, Derek turns to Kara. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Do you regret it? The choice you made in Kandahar? Kara thinks for a long moment. No. I regret that I had to make it. I regret that there wasn't a third option, a way to save everyone, but the choice itself? No. I'd make it again. Even knowing what it cost? Even then. Derek stares into his beer. I don't think I could do that. Make a decision that big, that fast, knowing people would die either way. That's why you're not in command anymore. The words are blunt, but not cruel. Derek flinches anyway. Then he laughs, a short, sharp sound. Yeah, I guess that's true. Kara finishes her water and stands. I have to go. Early day tomorrow. Derek stands too. Kara, he stops, searching for words. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. I didn't do it for you. I did it for the mission. I know, but still, thank you. Kara nods once, then walks toward the door. As she reaches it, Derek calls out, Will I see you again? She pauses, hand on the frame. Maybe, if you keep showing up. I will. Then yeah, you'll see me. She steps out into the night, leaving Derek alone at the bar. Eddie wipes down the counter, humming along to the jukebox. The Marine in the corner racks the balls for another game. Life continues, small and quiet and ordinary. And somewhere in the warehouse district, a coin sits in a black box on a desk, waiting for the next person who needs to remember that they're not alone. Epilogue. 6 months later. The sun rises over Warehouse 7, painting the concrete in shades of pink and gold. Kara stands in the loading bay, clipboard in hand, checking off serial numbers as a convoy of trucks prepares to depart for deployment. She's wearing the same clothes she wore 6 months ago, jeans, work boots, a jacket zipped against the morning chill. But now there's a badge clipped to her belt, visible and official. Logistics supervisor. The promotion came with the new job, along with an office twice the size and a pay raise she's still not sure what to do with. A truck driver approaches, manifests in hand. Morning, ma'am. Routes confirmed. ETA 1800 hours at Camp Pendleton. Kara scans the paperwork, initials 3 places, and hands it back. Safe travels. The trucks roll out, exhaust plumes rising in the cold air. Kara watches them go, then turns back toward the office. Her phone buzzes. A text from Rourke. Check your email. Something you'll want to see. She pulls up the message on her phone. It's a news article, headline dated this morning. Federal jury convicts former contractor in espionage case. She skims the details. Troy Garrett, guilty on all counts, sentenced to 22 years. 3 others indicted based on his testimony. The network dismantled piece by piece. At the bottom of the article, a single line catches her eye. Authorities credit an unnamed intelligence asset for providing critical evidence that led to the investigation. Unnamed, invisible, the way she's always been. But this time, it doesn't feel like erasure. It feels like choice. Kara pockets the phone and heads back inside. The day stretches ahead, meetings, reports, the endless rhythm of logistics and coordination. But as she climbs the stairs to her office, she notices something new. On the wall outside the break room, someone has hung a framed photograph. It's old, grainy, black and white. A group of operators standing in desert fatigues, faces obscured by shadow and gear. And in the corner, barely visible, a woman with pale green eyes and a coin in her hand. There's no plaque, no explanation. Just the photograph, hung where everyone can see it, but no one can quite identify. Kara stares at it for a long moment. Then she smiles, small, private, the kind of smile that belongs to someone who's finally made peace with the ghosts she's been carrying. She walks into her office, closes the door, and gets back to work. Because justice isn't loud, it's patient, and it just started counting again.